This is Wacko Bob, host of the Wacko Weekly. I'm doing a video response here. Because I want to, let it be known my general feelings, about Rick Scott. For starters, I want to say this fact is that first off, you know, Rick Scott, I think is doing a fine job. I think he's doing a fine job as our governor. Much to the chagrin of other people. And I'm doing this video response, into what has already been done, about a interview he did on Fox. Now, I say this for one reason. Is because I'm debating back and forth with this clown here on YouTube here that wants to go back and forth, and he's reduced to liberal talking points. He says, he's trying to tell me to open my mind. You need to open your mind, buddy. You need to open your mind and see what Rick Scott is doing. He's doing a little something called government accountability, which is something that you're missing on. You're missing on that because you want the handouts. You want everything to be your way, which is primarily a liberal way. And you just don't, you don't want to see what he's done. You're saying it's all about the wealthy, and all this guy talked about was cutting the business tax. You tend to forget that will help create more jobs. You tend to forget that. That will help create more jobs. They'll get more help out there, better help out there. You want to sit there and say that the welfare tax is only 1% or less than 1% of Florida. We'll use 1% for you, buddy. Have you looked at how much is given to illegal immigrants? Do you know how much is given to people that are getting SSI or SSD that comes out of the state and not the federal budget? Have you looked at that? Let's look at the fact that the state of Florida, the one good thing about the state of Florida, I should say, is the fact that you don't have a state income tax. And people are worrying. I worry too because the job market stinks. Not just here, but all over the country. It stinks. There may be those few exceptions because of what they're all about and everything, but that's a different story. You wanted to call Liberal Scott an idiot. Not just any idiot. You wanted to call him, forgive my language here, people, a fucking idiot. Well, look at what Rick Scott has done. He has done things that are being done in other states, like teachers giving in to their own pension with their own salaries. You got something you want to say about Rick Scott? Tell me something. You want to talk about the budget? We are still $3.6 billion in the hole just in the state alone. Jeb Bush left this country, left the state in surplus before he passed away. Or I shouldn't say Jeb Bush passed away. Lawton Childs passed away, excuse me. He left the place in surplus. Jeb Bush, after 8 years, he left the state in surplus. Even a one-term governor like Bob Martinez left a high budget, but left us in surplus. Charlie Crist did not do that. As much as people like Charlie Crist and he had a high approval rating, and yes, if he decided to run for a second term as governor and not want to go for the Senate, it would have been a different story altogether for Charlie Crist. Yes, he would have been a two-term governor, but there was one fact. He put us in a bigger hole than it was worth. He wanted to have the stimulus, which did nothing for the state of Florida. The Obama stimulus. You tend to forget these things. You want to do get it right. And that's why I'm doing this response in response to this clown that I'm dealing with here. You want to make it sound like I don't know what I'm talking about? Looks like I know what I'm talking about. The only thing I don't agree with Rick Scott on is the way he's wanting to deal more with the charter school program than the public school, when the public school needs all the help in the world, and if anything needs a change in direction, it is the public school system. But charter schools Doesn't mean charter schools don't count. Because charter schools deserve recognition too, but I'll tell you right now, I agree with the public schools. You tell me one thing Rick Scott has done wrong, and I'm going to counteract you like I have. As much as you don't want to hear it, that's the way it is. School teachers need to get over themselves. You know, other people that are collecting handouts that they don't need to have need to just get themselves out there and get themselves work in one way or another, and they refuse to. There's nothing demeaning about working to make a living. That's what you miss. You don't like the fact that Rick Scott's doing some of the things he's doing, the fact that he's having mandatory drug tests, and as much as people want to say that's going to cost us in taxes, truth is, it's not. We're already paying tax dollars into that. It might as well be used. This will get rid of some of the people that don't deserve it. There needs to be background checks done on people. Some people are making money. Some people are just using the money for drugs. We're subsidizing that. And it needs to be taken care of. These matters need to be taken care of. You don't want to see that. Bottom line is, Rick Scott's doing better than you want to give him credit for, and all you want to do is be reduced to liberal talking points, making this stuff up. You're forgetting a lot of things. You're forgetting what it's about. It's about our state. It's about our state. We can't go broke. We can't do like Obama's doing with all this crazy spending and going broke. When states are, I'll tell you something. When there's a deficit with a state, it's even worse than the federal government with a deficit. And you need to remember that, buddy. You need to remember that. You want to get something right, get that right. Rick Scott is doing what he has to for government accountability. He's getting everything on the books because that's the way it's supposed to be. Is it about handouts to you? Do you want handouts? Are you one of these recipients? Are you unemployed? I don't know. I'm not going to accuse you of that. But it's time for others to do the exact same thing. He guarantees 700,000 new jobs in the span of 7 years. And you want to throw the book at him after he's only been president for about 5 months. It shows what you know. Sacrifices have to be made, and tax dollars from the stimulus needs to be put in the right place. Does that make him an idiot? Absolutely not. We can't have the same type of government we've had going on for a while. Even Jeb Bush, who's considered to be great by most people, considered to be the perfect governor to a lot of people, especially conservatives and independents, mind you. I'm NPA and I'm a moderate, so I'm not a conservative. Can sit there and look at what Rick Scott is doing and agree with it. And absolutely agree with it. You need to get it right. Open your mind up and think about it. That's what you need to do. We can't be like every other state, and we need to do some of the things that other states are already doing that Florida hasn't done. That is right. Guys like Rick Scott, guys like Chris Christie are getting it right. It's not about what's popular. It's about what's right, and you're missing it, buddy. I am all for Rick Scott. I voted for Rick Scott, and I don't regret voting for him because he has it right. He has Florida the way it needs to be. Rick Scott has been upfront about everything from his own business ventures and everything. So don't you dare call him a fraud, because nothing he's done as governor justifies him being called a fraud. You get it right, buddy, because you need to understand what this is about.